Hi everyone. Today I'm going to show you how I set and break in my ball diff and slipper. First thing I'm going to do is have the car just like it would ready to hit the track with the tires on, ride height set. That comes in later when you set the slipper. But first off, as you can see, the ball diff is pretty loose. I just put it in, so I'm going to leave it loose, and then I'm going to take a screwdriver and I'm going to stick it in the outdrive. And that just holds this tire from turning, so I can freewheel this one. And I'm going to turn the trim up a little bit until it just starts spinning the tire very slowly, and then I'm going to let it sit there at that speed with that tightness just to start off. Let it sit for about 5 minutes. So now that it's been running for about 5 minutes, I'm going to make my adjustment to tighten it and turn the trim back down, and then I'm going to take the tire off. Depending on which car you run, the screw can be on different sides, but for my car, the screw is on the right side. So I'm going to take my 2mm wrench, and then I'm just going to tighten it just a little bit. You can kind of feel it get tighter. So I'll do that. I'll tighten it that much. And I don't need to put the tire back on, so I'll just do the same thing. I'll put the Allen wrench in the same side, and then turn the trim up a little bit more. Just because it's a little bit tighter, it needs a little bit more throttle to do that. So then I'll let it sit there again for another 5 minutes. And it's better to do this slowly. You don't want to really rush it. Don't want to have it going too fast, so the balls and rings can seat together. It's going to benefit you in the long run if you do it, if you take your time. So it's been running for about another 5 minutes. So I'm going to make my next adjustment. And when I do this adjustments, it's better to not turn it too tight. You can make little adjustments and do it more often. It's not going to hurt. If you do it just once tighter, it's going to not break in the diff as good, and you possibly have the chance of making it too tight, and then it just kind of messes everything up. So then I'll feel it. I can still, and when you adjust your diff too, you kind of have to just figure out for yourself what it feels like, because it's very hard to tell people how tight to have their diff. So I just kind of know by feel how tight it should be. So I'll go another about 1/8 turn, and I can feel it again. It's still not quite tight enough, and then I'll go another 1/8 of a turn, just so it kind of, for my motors, it moves this. If you turn it just enough, it'll turn the motor over, and then I'll do that for another 5 minutes under the slow break-in. And then even for if you run stock or mod, you have to have your diff tighter or looser. So I'll tell you more about that in the next clip. I'll run this another 5 minutes and then tighten it again. Okay, so this is the 4th time now. I'll turn the trim down, and then I'm going to feel the diff. And then for this, it's just kind of a feel thing again. You need to learn what it's supposed to feel like so you know when to kind of stop. So that feels about right for mine. And then I'm going to show you how to test it. And when I test it, I'll back the slipper off just a little bit, just so you don't, just because sometimes when the slipper, if it sits for a long time, it'll kind of get stuck, and you kind of need to break it free before you can really test it properly. So I have it backed off, and I'll test it. And I usually set mine, it's pretty much always, I'll have it just so the tires just come off the ground. That kind of depends on the layout and the grip level. So I'll tighten it a little bit. Just this again too, you want to go a little bit at a time, just so you don't go too tight and then have to back off, and it's just easier to do a little bit by a little bit. So that's about what I'll do. Pretty standard. There is the occasion when you need to go, when you need to have it looser, if it's really loose track, if there's not a lot of jumps, but if there's a lot more jumps where you need to come out of a corner and really get on it, I'll run it tighter. And then for the diff, how tight you need it, it depends on what motor you're running. If you're running stock, if you're running mod. If you're running stock, you can obviously have it a lot looser before it'll bark, because there's not as much power. And if you have it looser, it's going to give more grip, more rear grip when you're coming out of a corner. It's going to be less like posi. And then when you have a mod motor, you're going to need to have a little bit tighter, just so it, basically I like to have my diffs as loose as they'll go without barking. So that'll give the most rear grip and give you the best performance around the track. So that's how I break in my diff and set my slipper. Hopefully you guys enjoy the video, and thanks for watching.